Ghost Tactical Studios. Welcome to Tactical Tuesday, live on YouTube and simulcasting on GunChannels.com. Make sure to check out our complete catalog of podcasts on iHeartRadio, iTunes, GunStreamer.com, and PodBean. What is going on, my Ghost Squad? Welcome to Tactical Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, August 28th. I made a boo-boo last week when it was the 21st instead of the 24th, but some people called me on it. It is what it is, but today is, in fact, August 28th, 2018, I believe. I might be wrong. I'm a Marine. I eat crayons for breakfast, so you have to take it what it is. So welcome live on YouTube as always, and as always, we are simulcasting on GunChannels.com. If by now you are not aware of what GunChannels.com is, crawl out from underneath the rock in which you live. It is a great community for pro-gun, pro-Second Amendment advocates and activists. We like to hang out. We got 24-hour lobby chats. Anything you could possibly want to discuss or ask about the gun community, we've got someone always over there that could probably help you out. And most of, and most of your creators and shows that you like to watch throughout the week, where most of us are already over there anyway. So thank you to G-Webs for starting. That's almost 5 years, coming up on 5 years in a couple of months. So that's awesome. If you're watching this in replay, welcome. This will obviously be on YouTube and on Gun Channels, but it'll also be on GunStreamer.com, UGEtube, GunTube.org, and the audio will be pulled and put over on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and PodBean. So if you're catching us in replay, thank you. If you're here live right now, go ahead and say hello in the chat. We can't see you unless you say something. If you're new to the chat, go ahead and tell us where you're from throughout the show. If you want to have questions answered by us on the panel, then please tag one of us in the panel. If you really want to get it noticed, go ahead and send an email to live@ghosttactical.us, and we will check that out. So if you do ask a question in the chat, please make sure to tag one of us on the panel, and we will get it going. Let's see here. Let's kind of run through the room real quick out in the chat and give some shout outs and see what's going on. We got Guitar Man Pete says he was first. Buck Stanley's out there. Let's see here. When you scroll down, we're having a conversation. Matthew Steps out there. Southpaw RX. Grim the Reaper is out there. Warsaw Patriot. Phil Rivers. What's up, Phil? Scott P's out there. Brent Winkle. Patrick Pew Pew. Nighthawk. Patriot in the Dark. He says first, but you were about 17th. But it's okay. Good try there, Patriot. We'll give you a little pass. Maybe you can't see the chat. Mel the Nut says, sup all. Sup, Mel the Nut. Warsaw still trying to get me to get that CZ out there and test it against my Beretta 92. So we're going to get that done this wintertime for sure. Let's see here. I think I might have said Patrick Pew Pew. If not, here's Patrick Pew Pew in the hizzy. Calaveras 32 specials out there. Sandhill Shooters. What's up, Sandy? Frank Bowman's out there. He says, waiting. You're waiting no longer, sir. You are waiting no longer. Andrew Faulkner's out there. Well, I'm going down here. I don't want to miss anybody. Gizzard Gary, the Tactical Chicken's out there. What's up, chicken? And we've got MW Tacticals out there and in here. Gunpowder Beauty, the same thing. Gun Snob says first. He's about 29th, but that's okay. Mr. Big Kid, what's up, Big Kid? Let's see here. I think I'm catching up. If I miss you, I apologize. Kinky Sphincter. Okay, there you go. That's a new one for me, but welcome to the show. David Bowley, the Kingpin. Clover Tack, the Tactical Leprechaun. Nate 2099 is in there. Mateo, Superfly Mateo. Rich White, the 1% is out there. Jorge, 2 Live Moo, 2 Hotties out there. I think I just said Jorge. If not, Jorge, what's up? John Brown Productions is out there. Rick Nethery's out there. And let's check out the Gun Channel side and see who's over there. G Webbs is out there. John Z is out there from New York. He's out there. And Gizzard Gary's over there as well. Dead Horse is hanging out over there as well. So let's run through the room. Hey, Rob C's on there. Russ Carr's out there. Georgia Trucker. I'm sorry. It's starting to fill up. The notification system in YouTube might actually be working. Holy cow. I wouldn't ever forgive it. YouTube if they would just fix their notification system. But it is what it is. Let's run through the panel. We've got a great panel tonight. Let's see here. I've got some messages on the side. Gee, we'll talk after the show. How about it? From South Carolina, the tactical munitions expert himself, Mike with MW Tactical. What's up, Mike?
Not too much, man. Another lovely day. Glad to be on the show. Thanks for the invite.
Always welcome, my man. From Flo Rida, the tactical troll daddy himself. What's up, Tac?
What's happening? Hope you're having a good Tuesday, man.
Life is good, man. I had a long week last week. I think I calculated like over 110 hours of work last week. I was busy, and so I'm glad to be free and of hell week. So life is good now. I'm excited about talking guns with you guys. I guess she's from Michigan now. She's formerly of Texas, but now she is a transplant to Michigan. We got Gunpowder Beauty. What's up, kid?
Not much. I like the transplant.
Transplant, yeah.
Yeah, you can take the girl out of Texas. You just can't take Texas out of the girl. I want all y'all know, though, I have not throat punched anybody yet. So, woohoo!
You haven't officially moved to Michigan until you throat punch somebody in Michigan. So I'm waiting to see that video.
It might take a while, but you know, Tardot's going to be up here pretty soon, so it could happen.
Right on, right on. From Arizona, the Godfather himself, G Webs. What's up, G?
Not much. Thanks for the invite.
Absolutely. And once again, we've sent him the wrong link. We've tried to tell him it was tomorrow night at 10 o'clock. We've done everything we can, and the leprechaun still shows up. So I guess we're stuck with him. He is the double appendix transplant carry. What's up, Clover Tack?
Not a whole lot. We're still recovering from the robotic appendix surgery, but doing well.
Are you carrying 1911s in both appendix now since you've got two of them?
I carry double armor light AR-50s. So
I'm talking about. I mean, if you can do it,
if you're gonna get robotic appendix, why not, right?
I mean, you got to go big, right?
Yeah.
All right. And our special guest tonight, we've got from Colorado. He is the host of the ConcealedCarry.com podcast, and obviously a ConcealedCarry.com trainer and all of that. We got Riley. What's going on, Riley? Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. It is my honor and pleasure to be here and to be involved in a show where I don't have to run the show. I can't tell you how much of a load that is off my shoulders.
It's nice, isn't it? You had a show this afternoon. Went for what, 2.5 hours?
About an hour and 45 minutes.
Okay. I knew it was long. I was listening to it when I was at work, and it was a great podcast, by the way. If you guys haven't checked it out, it's on, well, he streams it on Facebook on the Concealed Carry page, but I put their website, concealedcarry.com, out in the chat. So go check them out. Links will be in all that. You want to talk about a little bit about the podcast is about?
Well, it's about concealed carry, of course. Come on, man. Concealed Carry podcast. No, that's how we started. We were looking at the current podcast scene about 2.5 years ago. And at the time, there was a podcast called the CCW podcast that had kind of fallen by the wayside, hadn't been active in some time. And it was just something I was really passionate about doing. So we decided to start up with the Concealed Carry podcast. Just wanted to, number one, get our brand out. Number two, we wanted to help inspire and educate and maybe sometimes in some ways entertain people, gun owners that are passionate about concealed carry. We want people to be safe and well trained. So that is definitely our passion.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a great podcast. I started kind of tuning in, I'd say a couple months ago, and I make sure that my notifications are on. So when you guys pop up live, it's always good. And like I said,
you're always there, man. We appreciate it. I'm always
trying to be there, and I might not be there 24 hours a day on that podcast or every minute, but it's playing in the background, and I'll hear something, and I'll try to comment and all that. But it's a great little podcast. You guys go check it out for sure. Jacob was on today. You guys had a really good one. I really appreciate that one.
Well, I appreciate that because I don't think I was on my A game. I was distracted by a bunch of different things and wasn't very clear of thought, but I appreciate that anyway.
Well, it's we all have bad days. Every day's a bad day here on this podcast, so it's, you know, I'm used to it. Let's go ahead here and check out some questions real quick. Warsaw says, Have you talked to the Scotsman yet? I've been praying and helping out Scotsmen to help CMAX and EdUSAF, who are currently fighting cancer. And can you help them out? Yeah. Hashtag help a brother out. We got a couple of our brothers in arms that are going through some difficult times, and Scotsman's done a phenomenal job. And all of those guys over in Foreign Domestic and all of that have done a great job trying to help them out. So go check out the Crazy Scotsman on YouTube and all the other places he is. He's got some videos that you can try to help some people out that are in need. Like I said, anytime we can try to help brother in arms out that's going through a tough time, we're all about it. So go check out the Crazy Scotsman and all that. Well, what we're going to do before we get going, as always, I'm going to go through my public service announcements. So if you guys will indulge me for a couple seconds, we're going to go with the first one.
Hey Ghost Squad, this is Sky. At Ghost Tactical, we understand the rising tensions across America regarding guns and gun control. It is more important than ever to be vigilant about our Second Amendment rights. We encourage everyone to stay informed and contact your local, state, and federally elected officials to make sure they are hearing your voice. They represent you, and without your input, their votes may be vulnerable to outside influences. We ask that you actively support any gun rights organizations such as Gun Owners of America, Second Amendment Foundation, Firearm Policy Coalition, and even the National Rifle Association. We understand you may not agree with all the politics involved with some of the organizations, but we encourage you to keep up with and support as many as you can.
All right, and especially with midterm elections coming up, this is going to be a pretty important midterm election here. There's going to be a lot of stories coming out. There's going to be a lot of rhetoric coming out about gun control, and will be one of the platforms that some of the Democrats run on, and I hope the Republicans do, but there very well could be. We don't know. But make sure that you're keeping up on your state level, your local level, and the federal level of all the elections going on, people in your districts, and they'll be representing you to make sure that they're keeping up with and aligning with the philosophies that you have, whether it's guns or not. It makes no difference, but just whatever your philosophies are, and you want to make sure that you are remembering that before you go vote, and go vote. That is the biggest thing. If you don't go vote, then keep your mouth shut. Do not complain about what's going on. Guitar Man Pete, Trauma Jock's out there. What's up, Trauma? All right, guys. So hey, Armintia's out there, and Hemi's out there. What's going on, guys? Moo's out there. To make sure I didn't miss anyone. He thinks I run the show, right? All right. So what we're going to do first, guys, is we're going to kind of run through the panel. We're going to talk a little bit about open carry versus concealed carry, and not saying choose one or the other. I want you guys to kind of give your thoughts on the benefits of both. You know, a lot of, like, I don't have open carry per se here in Arkansas. We think we do, but we're really not quite sure because it's kind of a gray area. We've been told by the governor, and he kind of told the state police do not arrest anyone or cite them or fine them or anything that open carrying unless they feel there's intent. But there's still a lot of gray area. But we're going to talk a little bit about open carry versus concealed carry. And we're going to talk about this because there are, in my opinion, there are good and bad things to both. So let's start kind of through the room, and we're going to start with Riley. I'm going to throw you under the bus first, my man. And your thoughts on open carry versus concealed carry, pros and cons of each, or do you like open carry? Do you prefer concealed carry? What are your thoughts on those?
I like the concept of open carry, meaning that I think there's nothing more freedom-loving, expression-wise, than to pack a gun on your hip and walk down Main Street. However, I unless you're in some small, town with like 1,500 people, I just, and even then, I'm not a big fan of it from a tactical perspective. I definitely am not going to judge someone that carries openly, and I will say, hey, good on you, man, but it's not something you'll ever catch me doing unless I'm fulfilling some sort of official duty, law enforcement or otherwise. So I generally, on our podcast, we say don't do it. Like it's the Concealed Carry podcast for a reason, and we do like a polite society, being an armed society, and certainly open carry has its purpose. But in the day and age that we're in now, with everything going on politically, socially, all that stuff, I find that open carry, when done in a way that's meant to sort of kick at the anti-gunners, I think that doesn't necessarily help the dialogue as far as educating Americans on gun ownership and what it's about, what carrying a gun for self-defense is about. I think that's just going to turn off. Like our battle is trying to win the people that are in the middle, right? We know we're familiar with the far right gun owner people. We're familiar with the far left anti-gunners. It's the people in the middle that we want to try to win and win over to our cause. And those are also the same people that will get turned off to any attempts that, you know, I think are viewed as being a little bit outside the social or societal norm.
Yeah, and we talk about this on this show quite a bit about that. You know, we'll call it the 60 to 80% out there, the undecideds that may be okay with guns, maybe not own guns, or may own guns and call them FUDs, whatever you want to call it. But the ones that are not practicing activists or advocates of the gun community, those are the ones that we are trying to sway. And we talk about that all the time, that, you know, maybe one of these shows or one of these videos could be the one thing that they hear and say, you know, that makes kind of good sense. I'm going to start doing that. So really good points. Clover, your thoughts on open versus concealed?
Really, I got to follow that. Really?
Yeah, and I know. If there's anyone that could, it's you.
Okay, everybody, sit down. Here we go.
All right. Hey, school's in session, boys and girls. Get the pads and pens out.
Buckle up.
All right.
I do agree a little bit with what was said previously, in the context of we're going to go have an open carry rally around the courthouse and everybody's going to carry everything, and I get it from that sense. Normal every day, I'm going to the grocery store, the gas station, into Walmart, whatever, open carry. I don't necessarily see a problem with it, and I think that society needs that. And the example I give is, since they've had open carry here in Texas, you see it all the time. People will ask, they'll say, well, we've had open carry a year or 2 years or whatever. How many of you have seen anybody open carry? And I'm like, are you even walking around looking? And that's kind of the point, is I think we need to open carry. That way, when somebody says that, it's like, if you look, people are open carrying. The point is, people are not paying near as much attention as we seem to think they're paying attention a lot of times. And in other parts of the country, I get it. That may not be the case. Certainly in probably more urban areas or, you know, bigger cities and things like that, that may be the case. But I contend that, you know, we need to open carry to an extent. Now, that said, I think it needs to be, I prefer to have the option. And the reason that I prefer to have the option is I don't want to have to make sure that I'm concealed. I don't want to have to worry about that. I want to be able to throw the outside the waistband on, untuck the shirt, and go. If my shirt rides up, whatever the case may be, right? If I feel that I'm in danger and I feel that, you know, pulling my shirt up over the holster, you know, might deter something, right? I would like to have that option as well. So it just kind of, I don't know, it's a more fluid environment when a state opens it up and you're able to actually do, you know, basically whatever you want, right? From a tactical standpoint, you know, a lot of people preach that, well, you know, from a tactical standpoint, concealed. And I used to think that. And the more and more that I see that people really don't pay attention to somebody's waistline, well, especially not an average person. If it's a uniformed person, I get it. The eyes may go there. But an average person, if they're meaning to do harm or whatever, and they walk into a crowded room or restaurant, I don't know that their eyes are shifting to the waistline of every patron in that joint to try to pick off the guy that's open carrying first. I don't know that that's the case. So I've kind of had a progression in a way on that I really don't think it matters one way or the other. The whole point is to carry, to be prepared, to defend yourself in the case that you ever need to, God forbid, right?
Yeah, exactly. Now I want to touch on something out there that Warsaw Patriot said. He said there is a downfall to open carry. Some people have grappled people. I think he's probably say grabbed. Has grabbed people's pistols and stole them off them in public. I say this, if someone gets anywhere near me, if I'm going to open carry and I feel the least bit aware of someone getting close, if I feel anything, I promise you, no one's going to take my gun out of my holster. That's just me. If you get anywhere close, you're probably going to get knocked outside the head real quick. If you're to the point to where you're so out of it that you don't notice that someone is taking your gun out of your holster, then by all means, please do not carry. Please do not put yourself in a position to have someone grab your gun out of a holster. If it gets to that point, then we don't need you representing the gun community out in public. So anybody ever heard of anyone or been involved with someone's gun being grabbed?
That's what I was going to ask, follow up with, was how often does that happen? Because that's insane. And
it happens as often as
completely brazen. I just don't.
It happens as often as you hear a good guy with a gun open carrying that actually stopped a shooting. When was the last time you heard that?
Open carrying? There you go. Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and do an attack. Open carrying.
I think if you're not hunting, if you're not on a ranch and you're not a cop, you're retarded if you're open carrying. And to answer your thing, it's regional. It's regional. Imagine if Chicago police had to deal with open carry. And then the other thing is you said, no one will ever take it from you. Well, if a pretty little gay lady comes and distracts you and three guys with bad intentions all hit you at the same time, you ain't doing shit. And you've got a gun on your hip.
Well, once again, if you're going to take the responsibility to open carrying to make sure that everyone out there can see your gun, then you better be prepared mentally to handle that responsibility. If you can't, then don't open carry. That's just me.
I think it's just mental. I think it's physical too. I understand what you're saying. A single guy comes up and is the threat. You're obviously the type of guy that's going to deal with that situation. But add distractions and let's say a fair where there's people winning prizes and noise and music, and all of a sudden you're distracted by some girl with, boobs and an ass. Next thing you know, there's three guys, pushing up on you from three different angles. None of us are stopping that.
Once again, and I agree with that. If you are not able to handle that, or you don't think you can handle that, don't open carry. That's the whole point. I'm not a big fan of open carry, but we'll get to my perspective here in a second. Tack, are you done? Is that all you got?
Yeah, I mean, as far as tactically, it's been stated, but
sure.
I don't want other people knowing that I'm armed when it comes to being a civilian defender. It's none of their fucking business, and it does give them the jump on you. I don't know that they go in and have the ability to scan the whole crowd, but you have to think that if you ran 100 scenarios and there's three guys that are clearly open carrying and you had some, again, force on force and guys come in, they're going to take those dudes out first.
Right. Now, they are talking about some happening in fast food restaurant lines. Yeah, once again, it's situational awareness. Don't put yourself in that position. That's what I'm saying. Be responsible. Do not put yourself in a position you could get, attacked or run up by three people and get your gun. Don't put yourself in a position. That's just me.
I have a question about Texas open carry. Are you allowed to go into a federal building or a post office or whatever, or do you then have to take your gun off?
No, you have to take it off.
A law that applies to all states the same.
Yeah, I think that is.
So in that case, wouldn't you just rather have it inside your waistband and have no one know about it?
No, there's metal detectors. You can't. It's
at the post office.
Depends on where
federal
you're
offense to walk into a federal facility with a firearm. Yeah.
Again, I know many people that do it all the time.
All the time because there's no metal detectors, but hopefully.
All I will say is it depends on the facility.
Right.
Right on.
Now, G, I want to bring you in on this. Open versus concealed.
In just general, it's a 50-50, I guess. I agree with Riley that there's issues with tactics, but I also agree with Clover that there's if we want to see a change in what is it called, the window, as far as cultural or societal opinions on firearms, you don't do that by hiding it in the closet and acting like it's a only deadly thing. I'd say that we go to the range and plink recreationally with some firearms, and we hunt with some firearms, and we carry some firearms for defense, and a bunch of people own barbecue guns, right? So right. I think this is a black and white issue. Mainly we're talking about the right to open carry being something, but if you don't look at it as a black and white issue and you don't say open carry versus concealed carry like 100% of the time, well, then obviously it applies when you're going to a barbecue. If you're going to a pro-gun organization, you want to open carry a 1911 in a fancy leather holster or something, it's totally appropriate. But more importantly, I think I like to add to everything. I agree pretty much with most everything everybody says, except for the people that are extreme, but or the opinions that are extreme. We haven't talked about it as a legal angle. There's states that have open carry but don't have concealed, or you have to have a concealed to have open carry. And because we have 50 different states doing 50 different things, we can use that as one of our tools as we try to structure the laws the way we'd rather see them, and use them as examples. And again, you guys say that there's differences between states and stuff, but we can use that legally as a tactical advantage for us as two-way issues.
Yeah, and that's so true. And we'll talk a little bit about the legal side of things as well here in a minute. Gunpowder, coming from a women's perspective, and for someone who is relatively new to the carry game.
She's gone.
Oh, she's gone. Oh, I didn't see that. My bad. Well, maybe she'll jump back out.
I have a question for women then. Has anyone on the panel ever seen a woman open carry? Because I have not.
I have actually. I have. In Arkansas, it's not necessarily the most weird thing in the world, but yes, I have had a couple people open carry at Walmart and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, ladies like to open carry. I see typically like an auto in a leather holster with jeans.
Yeah, I saw one carrying a 1911 on the hip, and I saw a revolver on the hip, but most of the time, no. But yes, the answer is yes, I have seen it. Yeah,
I'm not talking just like somebody going to. I'm not counting at least somebody going to like an obvious event, dressed up in car.
Yeah, I'm talking about out in town, out in the public. Yeah, sure. Mike, what are your thoughts?
I'm more along the lines of the 50-50 perspective. But the one thing I don't agree with is when people open carry. It's like when I was in Georgia, because Georgia's an open carry state. But when I was there, it was more like people was open carrying to have an intimidation factor going on. Mm-hmm. It was kind of weird. But me personally, I prefer to carry concealed, because I do agree, like, you really don't need to know what I have on me. But at the same time, if something was to happen, that element of surprise can throw somebody off kilter.
Right.
Can I add can I share a little story?
Oh yeah, jump in.
This is one of my favorite stories about this very issue. Okay. June 2016, Denison, Texas. A man is in a convenience store. He was actually carrying concealed, but in the process of him trying to check out, pulling his wallet out or whatever, his gun becomes exposed. So no different than if he was carrying openly, right? A young lady standing to the side of him sees this opportunity, and she grabs his gun right out of his holster. And before he has any realization whatsoever of what's happened, gun is out of his holster, it's in her hand, and she then proceeds to rob him and rob the convenience store with his gun. The funny thing of the story is that she actually left her purse behind and was quickly caught. She's about the world's dumbest criminal. But I've used that story before as an example, just because it's an unlikely character. Like, we can talk about being all situationally aware and stuff, and like, making sure I'm keeping my distance from people because I'm carrying openly. Actually, I believe in the same concept, even when I'm carrying openly versus carrying concealed. I want to maintain, a reasonable distance from people that I'm not familiar with and I don't know what their intents are. But especially when I've got a gun on me,
sure.
Especially openly, yeah, for sure. But the fact is, we can't always be 100% situationally aware. Like, we can't be monitoring 360 degrees all the time. And even when we do, it might be the most unlikely character that surprises us when we least expect it. And so that's why I'm a big time. I definitely believe that we should have the right to open carry. And like I said, I definitely applaud those that are willing to do it, and like, knock yourself out as long as you are a responsible and a good, image for us as a community. But from a tactical perspective, you stand absolutely nothing to gain by carrying openly, and you simply increase risk for yourself personally. So that's where I'm at with it. I applaud everybody else in their thoughts and ideals. I don't disagree necessarily, but just some things to consider there.
Oh yeah, and for me here, like I said, in Arkansas, we're kind of in that gray area where technically open carry is not allowed, but there was a couple bills that were passed that had to talk about transport between counties and all that could have been read to be open carry was okay. And this past year, the governor, who is a Republican, came out and said that he directed the state police, saying here in Arkansas that unless you feel like someone has intent to do harm, do not harass them if they are open carrying. So you start to see it a little bit more every now and then. For me personally, is this. I will agree with everything that's been said so far on the open versus concealed. I will say that I do believe that there is a time and a place for open carry. I personally do not like to open carry unless it's for a pro-gun demonstration, or it's I open carry every second of the month for Every Second Matters. So I do that every second of the month. I will carry it whether I'm going to Walmart or wherever. And honestly, the funny thing is of all times that I've carried on the second, I've never had anyone freak out. Not one person. Now, because I'm in Arkansas and it's more gun friendly, maybe, I don't know. But I do agree that the idea of open carry is extremely important. It is extremely important to be able to exercise your Second Amendment right, should you choose to do that, understanding that there are things that go along with open carry. Now, if you're just talking for it every day, whether it's a tactical advantage or not, for me personally, I like to conceal carry more often. I'd like having it inside the waist with my shield or whatever gun that I'm carrying at the time. I like having it inside the waist. There are times where I will like to open carry, but most of the time I prefer concealed carry. That's just me. But I have absolutely no problem. Anyone that wants to exercise their right for open carry, I have absolutely no problem with people who want to use it to bring gun awareness. I do agree wholeheartedly with the fact that the more people that possibly could open carry and handle that situation without making a mockery of it, without bringing the spotlight on them, does prove to the general public. And once again, we're talking about that middle ground, the 80% of Americans out there, that we are just normal people. We are law-abiding citizens. We are everyday people that like to carry our guns. So maybe it does spark up a conversation. Maybe it does prove to some people that, hey, he's carrying a gun and he's not being an idiot about it. He's just being a responsible gunner and not bringing attention to himself or anyone else. So I think it does help in certain scenarios that could shed some light and bring some conversation up. Once again, for me personally, I do prefer concealed carry probably 95% of the time. Not that I put down anyone that does it. I just prefer concealed carry. There was a question out here before we kind of get going into the concealed carry stuff. We're going to run this through a room real quick, and we'll do it real quickly. We'll start with Mike. Mike, do you carry a backup gun? And if you choose not to answer, then you do not have to answer, and I understand why. Oh, Mike might not be here. Riley, do you carry a bug?
It is not a regular thing for me to carry. Occasionally I have, or I do. Now, I have worked for the last 6 or 7 years in a part-time capacity in law enforcement. On duty, I carry a backup gun, absolutely. As a civilian, I'm more inclined to make sure I have a tourniquet and other tools, before I consider having a backup gun. Right. I'd rather have a spare mag than a backup gun, to be honest with you. Okay. So instead of a backup gun, you're carrying a backup mag. Absolutely.
Okay. I like that.
And the reason for that is because I'd much rather fight with my primary gun. If it goes down, I still feel like I can clear a malfunction, exchange a magazine faster than I can, where I'm carrying a backup gun, it's still faster for me to try to deal with whatever is in my hand at that moment. So that's why that priority works that way in my world. Sure.
I get that 100%. G, backup gun. And do you have something else to add on a previous? I think you said you wanted to add something about a previous discussion, but go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Something about what somebody had said along the way there just made me think of something, that open carry is sort of a developmental thing, right? Like you start carrying or decide to carry. Not everybody goes online and figures out what the high speed, like well-established, best route to get there most efficiently is. So people will buy whatever and then buy that nylon outside the waistband holster and carry it around for a few days. And, then they'll figure out real quick, oh, this isn't very good. Or maybe they'll start looking into it and figure out there's options, right? And they'll go to something else. We all have a holster, or I mean, a drawer full of holsters, right? We all started somewhere. So I was just going to throw in there, let's not forget that. So to see somebody walking around looking like a Yahoo, maybe they've only been carrying for 2 days and they're on their way to being high speed. You just don't, you just caught them at the beginning of all that.
That's a great.
And then, and I guess, I always like to throw in there, just as far as Second Amendment people, or as far as gun owners and stuff, if it gets somebody in the door and lets, if they can open carry and they feel more comfortable like that. There's a lot of people, when I used to open carry and be a real advocate for it, because we were getting constitutional carry out here and there was a lot of debate. People really think, or there's a lot of people, I guess, that still think that having a gun concealed is unscrupulous, that only a bad guy would need to conceal it. It's not honorable, right? So if it gets somebody in, like an old guy, you want a grandpa carrying his 1911, and once he figures out it is kind of obnoxious, or worse for him, it starts knocking his 1911 around, so he goes and buys a cheaper gun, wears it concealed, right? Then he gets his wife and the kids and then the grandkids. So, I mean, it's not like we need more old people, but if we want to throw people under the bus because they don't feel comfortable enough to appendix carry.
Yeah, no, you're right. I don't feel comfortable appendix carrying. For me, it's not that it's uncomfortable to me. It's the fact that, and it's probably because I haven't spent the time trying different carry positions. And we'll talk about positions here in a minute. But no, for me, if that's how you want to carry and that's how you're comfortable with, and it gives you and your mind an advantage and being a safe, like you said, a public defender, then appendix carry all you want. For me, it's not that it's not comfortable. It's just, for me, it just feels weird. It's absolutely kind of comfortable, but it feels weird. I don't know if that makes sense or not. I don't know. Maybe I'm not making much sense. I eat crayons for lunch. So
yeah. The gun being right in front of your trunk like that. What was the real question, though?
The real question is, do you occasionally, or do you ever carry a backup gun?
Backup gun? Yeah, definitely. When I was working at the shop and stuff, and when I was out shooting a lot, when I'm down range, when you're in a situation where sometimes you empty a gun because you're shooting and your back's turned to other people, and who knows who's over the berm or whatever, if we're shooting out in the desert. And I didn't know if, that afternoon we'd be out shooting in the desert. Definitely a backup gun. But yeah, like backup guns.
Yeah.
I like the idea of backup guns for other things besides just, I don't believe that we're going to get into a prolonged gunfight. I don't have that delusion, but I do believe I'm going to go out with my dumb friend who forgot his gun, or, somebody's girlfriend has ability, but she doesn't carry a gun. That's something you can throw to them and say, I'm going around this corner, you stay here. And now they're armed.
Well, that's a great point. It's not necessarily worrying about running out of ammo or having a malfunction with your primary. That's a good point. There are other scenarios that could lend itself to having a backup gun. So good point. Mike, are you back and ready to go?
Yeah, I was just muted. Okay. I was running my mouth.
That's the best kind of you, man. We want you to talk, but we don't want you to be heard. So.
Yeah, I was just sitting here answering the question, but I was.
Can you reverb it? Let's do it. Let's do it again.
Okay, so what I did say was there are times when I do carry a backup gun, and there are times when I don't carry a backup gun. But I'm not going to say when I do and when I don't carry. But at the same time, the easiest way for me to actually put it is, in the event something happens with one gun, my magazine still works in the other gun.
Okay. Tack. You would carry a backup gun? Are there certain situations where you would normally or think about it?
Me and G are on the same page on this one, actually, because I've always said that if I had to pick someone in my immediate surroundings to be my backup, I'd rather have my youngest with a gun in her hand than anybody else. So I have gone into situations where I took an extra gun with literally that being the only thing. Some shit goes down, I got mine. I'm going to hand you one for those exact situations. If I have to run somewhere, if I have to go somewhere, and usually it's, quite honestly, it's those situations where you judge it. If you're going to go to a place like, again, the more people, the more armed. That's just kind of the way, if I'm running down to the Starbucks to pick up a cup of coffee, I'm probably not carrying a backup gun.
Heard the door open.
But similar to our friend from Concealed Carry, extra mag, tourniquet, 100% all the time, every time. So, I'm prepared. I'm just not, and I don't see it as overkill. I hear a lot of people that say stuff like it's overkill. again, that whole two
Yeah,
is one is none is a legit thing in a lot of cases that you're not prepared for.
It is. I want to send a quick shout out to unknown user. Since a $2 super chat out there. This is directed more towards CloverTech, I think. He says, when are you going to give away a high quality CloverTech hat? Hell, I don't have one myself, so I can't give one away that I don't have. So I'm going to let CloverTech answer that question. And at first, we want to say thanks for the super chat. Guys, if you want to do a super chat, you can. I'm not asking for them this month. And I'll probably go in through September also. We're doing a Semper Fi fund. It's we always try to give super chats to a veterans association. This month was the Semper Fi fund. It helps with relocation, with housing, with educational, anything and everything. And it's not, I know it says Semper Fi funds, so you would think it's just about Marines. It is not just about Marines. It is for any serviceman coming back or woman coming back that needs assistance in any way, whether it's clinical, medical, mental, like I said, building their house, getting a house ready for their different disabilities, all sorts of stuff. The Semper Fi Fund is where the super chats are going. Feel no obligation whatsoever to, but if you do, just let you know that this month we always send it to a Veterans Association. So Clover, you want to address the hat first and then move on into backup gun?
Well, I'll just say that when we get them paid for, then we'll discuss a giveaway.
I think you just got them today. Am I right?
Today, yeah. So let's get them paid for, and then we'll see about giveaways. I don't mind. Once the cost is covered, I don't mind that.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I said once the cost is covered, I don't mind giving the rest away. That's cool. But
yeah,
let's get them paid for. They're not cheap.
Paid for. They do look cool. If you're not a patron of Clover, go check him out on Patreon. He's got pictures of the new hats. It came in today, so they look really, really sharp. I did not think that some of the color combos would look as good as they do. Obviously, the green looks great, but a couple of other ones look better than I thought they would. So they look good. They look good. Backup gun. What say you, my man?
I will neither confirm or deny that at any given time I may have an on-body, off-body truck or hidden anywhere around me backup. So
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, all of the reasons above, everybody's made great points all across the board on that. I catch a lot of flack because I do carry 38 and 380 a lot. That round capacity and this, that, and the other. But by the time you talk a spare mag, yeah, how many do you need? First of all, right? How many do you need? But then by the time you're talking, spare mag, backup, stuff like that. It kind of evens it out.
So I'm sharing G's screen right now to everybody. Those are the CloverTech hats. So they look good. Like I said, they look good. I really like them. So go check those out. Jesse came back in. Jesse,
I'm not certain, but it doesn't say. But I'm assuming the gun comes with them because it doesn't say it doesn't.
Why would he put a gun in the picture if it didn't come with the hat? Right? I don't know. I'm just saying.
Expect a little asterisk, gun not included.
Marketing 101, man. Come on, bait and switch.
All right, Jesse. Backup gun or not? I know you carry a 1911 on a normal basis, but do you ever also carry a backup every now and then?
I feel like this is a setup for something.
It was a question from the chat.
Oh, okay. Most of the time, I don't know with y'all. It could be a setup. It could not. I'm always, I never know. Most of the time, I do not. But most of the time, I don't leave my house. When it comes to outside of the house, I can't say what I'm going to carry because my husband probably has one or something.
More. Yeah, sure. I have been known to carry a backup gun. Most everybody knows kind of my rotation. My rotation is primarily M&P Shield. Sometimes I will carry my Beretta PX4 Storm subcompact. Sometimes I'll carry a Glock 19, maybe during the wintertime. That's more outside the waist. But I'm a big proponent of a little 380 or a little 38 special. I think I carry, mine is a pocket gun. It's a backup gun, is my little Bodyguard 380 by Smith. I'm a huge proponent of the LCP, the LCR, both great little guns, both inexpensive guns for those of you maybe getting out into the carry game. But, you know, a little 380, like I said, and Clover said, a 380, there's nothing. Glock 42 is a great little 380. But there's nothing wrong with a 380 or 38 special if you're talking revolver, just because if you're proficient with it, hopefully all you're ever going to need is one shot. If you're worried about capacity, then maybe you don't need to be carrying a little pocket gun. Maybe you need to go into a little bit bigger gun that has a little higher capacity. But if you're looking to make sure that it's very much concealed, either pocket carry or in a purse or whatever, and you're not really worried about
We lost you, Ghost. We lost you.
We lost your audio.
Was wondering if that was just me or not. Apparently not.
Got nothing.
Well, I do believe what he was going on with whatever you decide to get, just make sure you train with it and you're proficient with it. So that's what it sounded like, the bottom line of what he was leading up to.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
So let me ask y'all this question for everybody on the panel, and I started off with
my back.
Yeah, I started off with you, Clove. Do you prefer full size or compact?
Oh, compact, without a doubt. I mean, I didn't necessarily starting out. Started out with larger pistols, and then I liked, because here at the time when I started out, you couldn't open carry, so having to conceal, I went to the smaller stuff, and then the Glock 42 came out, and I was like, oh, it shoots like a full size, and it's not. It's beautiful. Yeah. And, so the 43 is just as good.
What were you carrying before the 42, if you don't mind me asking?
The LCP.
Okay. Yeah, LCP is a great one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, the LCP does not shoot like a full size. You know.
No, it does not. Neither does the bodyguard. Neither does the bodyguard.
But that's what's awesome about the 42 and the 43. I kid you not. You can shoot competitions or whatever. I mean, they're wonderful.
Yep. I like where you're going with this, Mike. So let's keep it going. Riley, are you full size, subcompact, pocket carry? You know, what do you prefer for someone? If you could give a beginner carrier what you prefer, what would you say?
Well, for a beginner carrier, might not be the same answer that I give for myself. You asked me about me. I like a good mid-sized gun. I like a Glock 19. I like a 320 compact. I like what I think of as a fighting pistol, meaning that I'm not held back in any way by the gun. The challenge to those guns is obviously the size, the weight, and carrying it. I carry appendix most of the time. It works just fine for me. It's not the most comfortable thing in the world, but it works. Although recently, in the last few months, there's this little thing called the P365 that's come along, and I got to say that this is kind of starting to replace that Glock 19 sized platform for me in a large respect. With the 12-round mags in it, it's 13-round capacity. It's a little gun. I mean, when you guys look at it next to even a Glock 42, it is not much different in size than a Glock 42. It's slightly smaller in some dimensions than the Glock 43, but it's basically double the capacity. So that is that as long as yours is reliable. I know there's been a few people who've had some issues with theirs. I've got about 3,200 rounds through mine, and it's been very reliable. It's pretty much my EDC now. Although, just because I wanted to make a point in case it came up tonight, I am carrying my 17.
There you go.
Because you can, I think a lot of people limit themselves. What's that?
I said, why the hell not? If you can, do it.
Well, I think a lot of concealed carriers, especially newbies, they get it in their head that they have, like, their concealed gun has to be a compact, a very small subcompact gun, a micro gun, a pocket gun, because that's what you conceal. That's what you carry, right? I like to try to change that perspective a little bit and say, look, like, I'm carrying a full-size 17 right now. You can't see it, with proper holsters, with, knowing how to use it, with dressing appropriately, all of that stuff, as long as they have the knowledge and the know-how, like, you can carry and conceal just about anything. Now, the comfort thing is a big question. I definitely lean towards the perspective of, like, someone's more likely to carry when the gun's a little bit more comfortable to carry. I get that. and I definitely, I want people to carry what they're comfortable with carrying, and then I want them to commit. I really want people to commit to carry that no matter the cost every day. Right? Don't that first day. That first day that they're like, oh, it's a little uncomfortable. A lot of concealed carriers, that first time they realize the gun's uncomfortable, they stick it in the drawer. They leave it at home. It has to be a commitment. It's like marriage, No,
you're right. How tall are you, Riley?
I'm 6'3". Yep.
Okay, so I'm 5'8". Now Mike's, and Mike and G are both giants of men. Also, I am not so much. So for you able to carry a Glock 17, there's no way, especially appendix or inside the waist. There's probably no way that my body style, at being at 5'8", would be able to carry a 17 comfortably.
What's your waist size?
What's that?
What's your waist size? Getting personal.
No, that's 34. No. I'm a 33, 34. I always wear a 34 because it gives me a little bit more room. I'm actually a 33 waist, but I always wear 34 pants. Give me a little bit extra room for my holster. But I think body type and body style, body size also plays a big role into kind of deciding what gun to select. Especially if you're going to go inside the waist, because bigger frame people can handle bigger frame guns easier than smaller people. For me, it would make no sense to carry a Glock 17. It would just be weird for me. A Glock 19 for me is pushing it. Now, I love my 19, and I carry a lot during the winter, but I'll also carry it outside the waist. I'll put a fleece over it or something. For me, it's a shield or a Beretta or something like that. But no, I understand what you're saying is, and I agree with you 100%. Whatever gun, as a newbie, whatever gun you choose should be something that is comfortable with you, not only to fire, but also to carry, because if you're not carrying, then you defeat your whole purpose. So make sure you're getting out to these gun shops, and before you purchase one, try a bunch of them out. A lot of these gun shops that have ranges attached to them will let you take them out and rent them and practice them. Ask if they have a demo holster that you could wear it and try different holsters. Some people may not like inside the waist. Some people, there's all sorts of different things to go into play it. But let's kind of carry this on to let's go to Tac Daddy. I want to say this on a preface for newbies. Okay, if you're a newbie, what's the number one thing that you can tell a new carrier that they need to be cognitive of?
What you're gonna do getting in and out of the car.
That's a good one. Does everybody carry while they're in the car on their waist, or do you have a mounted holster under the dash or something like that? I mean, everyone's still keeping on their hip.
I take my from appendix and I put it in between my seat and the console, and it just snugly sticks right in there very tightly. So that's where I keep it if I'm driving, because I used to carry it appendix, but then I read something or heard something or saw something where someone got into a car accident and it literally shoved the gun and fucked up some of their organs. Excuse my French. Messed up some of their organs. Yeah. So I have not been a fan of that since.
I don't know. Matt's out there. Someone were talking most about when I went audio silent. My comms went silent there, and they're talking about different mixers and all that. So yes, I use Voice Meter right now. It's a virtual mixer, and what happened was I did one of these real quick, and I pulled the cord out from my microphone. So it wasn't my mixer. It was my my dumbass pulling the cord out. So I apologize, and thanks for Mike for picking up the slack. Let's see here. G. Any kind of, what's the number one thing that you would suggest to a new carrier, whether it's holsters or guns or something to practice or whatever? What's the number one thing that you would give a new carrier the piece of advice?
So I guess.
I stumped G. Nice.
Full size frame.
Right.
I used to give somebody. I guess just to do it and to get out there and do it for a bit and then come back with their questions, because everybody goes, if I remember right, everybody goes into it with more questions than they need to, and then they figure out real fast it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, I know that Riley's got to jump out of here in a few minutes. I want to give him some time real quick. We're going to continue this discussion for a little bit, but I know you got to jump out. You've got some prior commitments. I want to appreciate you coming on. So, Riley, go ahead and kind of plug concealcarry.com, what you guys are doing, the podcast, all of that, and I'll put the links out there in the chat while you're talking. But thanks for coming on, and plug away, my man.
I appreciate that. And yeah, I'll hang around until I really have to actually, duck out.
Right.
Yeah, concealcarry.com. That's where you can find us. We are trying to become, the nation's resource where it comes to concealed carry. We do that through our media. We've got a lot of, every day we're writing new content, creating new content. The podcast is a part of that. We got new videos that we're creating all the time, trying to get better at that all the time. We run one of the nation's largest instructor networks, training networks. We've got 75 or 76 instructors now nationwide. Chances are we have an instructor in our network somewhere near you. You can check that all out as well on our website. And then also, we do a lot of e-commerce sales. So we sell a lot of stuff in our online store. That's what we do. We've got the one thing I would definitely plug is we have a newly redesigned app for iOS and Android devices. It's called the Concealed Carry Gun Tools app. And if you don't have it, you need to get it because we're just trying to make it very useful, very helpful, very friendly. We got our news feed in there. You can shop right from in there. But the most useful stuff is found under maps and training. There's 2 sections called maps and training. Under maps, you can look up reciprocity laws by state. You can look up local gun businesses, anti-gun businesses, gun-free zones, all that stuff. You can look up laws for your respective states. If we go to Arkansas, this is for you. Ghost, this open carry right here. A recent AG opinion asserts that one may open carry while on foot, as long as one does not intend to use the handgun to commit a criminal offense.
Yeah.
So there is some debate on this. So all of that is right here in the app. We have a training dashboard. You can keep track of rounds you shoot, different drills you're running, stuff like that. And we're constantly trying to make it better. So lots going on. Just check us out if you want. And if you have any questions, hit me up. You can find me on Instagram at 3GunRiley. You can find me on Facebook, just my personal page. I'm pretty active on there. I'll help you in any way I can.
Yeah, and it's like I said, I came across the podcast, I don't know, a month or 2 ago, and it's a great podcast, guys. He does one Tuesday afternoon and then a Thursday night. Is the Thursday every week also, or is that every now and then?
No, we definitely, our commitment is we podcast twice per week. We are the worst at being very consistent and timely with that, although trying to get better. The idea is that every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 a.m. Mountain Time, we try to go live with our 2 podcast episodes for the week. We sometimes hit that and sometimes don't. So, I mean, the intent of the podcast was we're less focused on it being a live show, more focused on it being a podcast. That's how it started. We added the live component, I don't know, a number of episodes ago, probably 100 episodes now. I don't know. We're 251 episodes in. We just did episode 251 today. The key to our format is that the early episodes of the week, basically Tuesday episodes, are more news oriented. We share recent news in the industry, goings on there, legislative updates. We always share a handful of DGU stories and what we could learn from them. It's kind of our own version of, like John Korea's active self-protection. We're not looking at surveillance video necessarily and analyzing and putting on YouTube. We're looking at the news stories, sharing those experiences and what we think people can learn from those, trying to make everybody better concealed carriers. The latter half of the week episode is generally more topic oriented. So I don't know, this week we're going to do the Ultimate Concealed Carrier Beginner's Guide, Part 2, which is the second part to part 1 we did 100 episodes ago. So yeah,
John Lovell coming in also, don't you?
John Lovell, he was already on our podcast back at the NRA. I think it was the NRA shows where we interviewed him. And so what we're doing Thursday night with him, once a month we have a live event that is for those that are members of our what we call Guardian Nation. And that is our special kind of members only area. So you can check out Guardian Nation if you want to, take part. GuardianNation.com is the link for that. And once per month, we bring on somebody like John or Kyle Lamb or I don't know, Andrew Branca, whatever, Rob Pincus. We've pretty much had, all those guys. So we bring on some, recognized industry professional once per month and do a live event with them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thanks for coming on. You're welcome anytime. Like I said, I enjoy your podcast. And like I said, I appreciate you coming on. You brought some good stuff in. And guys, go check out their podcast. Go check out concealedcarry.com. Got a lot of resources out there. Like you said, drills, all sorts of good stuff on the website. And if you like to add another podcast to your collection, this is a great one. I enjoy them. Like I said, I listen to them all the time. But let's before we move on to the chat's got some cool things. We're going to do our second little public service announcement real quick. So here we go.
Hey Ghost Squad, this is Sky. We here at Ghost Tactical would like to continue the trend of becoming more involved in any gun safety and training. We encourage everyone, no matter your skill level, continuously look for training in your local area. We think that taking a gun safety course every other year is important. We also believe that taking classes and training for self-defense and home defense are extremely important. Make sure to go looking for classes and training opportunities when you can. This not only helps you become more proficient with your firearm, but it helps support your local instructors and Second Amendment community as a whole. Back to you, Ghost.
Right on. That was my newly indoctrinated concealed carry daughter. So she turned 21 this summer, already taken the concealed carry classes and all of that. So welcome to the dark side. Real quick, you guys have anything else before I want to make some things that the chat has brought up. They're talking about finding a good belt and a good holster. And I know that Clover just did a video on a belt, and you can talk about that a little bit, but finding a belt, if you're going to carry, is aside from a holster. I think the belt's actually probably more important than the holster. You can wear any kind of holster. If you don't have a belt that's going to support the weight of the gun, then you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. Anybody have any disagreements with having a really solid belt? It doesn't have to be necessarily a concealed carry belt. A good solid leather belt, anything that's going to be sturdy enough that that you can handle the weight of that gun. I think Matt was out there talking about. I just missed it. He was talking about has nice Behringer. Oh, that's the damn thing for another one here. God, amateur hour. Jorge and all that. These guys are just talking about different things about don't touch it so much. Matt was talking about don't worry about printing. Very few people are out there actually going to be looking to see if you're carrying a gun. By you bringing attention to it, by touching it and all that, you being paranoid about printing is only going to bring more attention to your gun. So kind of stuff like that. What kind of shirts to wear? Do we want to wear? Do you want to start thinking about possibly wearing an extra size in your waist, on your pants? I mean, let's kind of run through the room real quick before we head out of here. We don't want to step on Night Ray too much, but we are going to run through them a little bit. It's like Clover jumped out. Gunpowder for women out there. What's a really good, I would say, tip to do and what not to do maybe for a beginning carrier for a woman? Is there a special kind of holster, or is it a purse, or what would you suggest to do and what not to do for a beginning carrier that's a woman?
For me, my favorite holster is the Femme Fatale corset holster. And really, it's just don't go touching on your clothes like you think you're printing or you think that it slipped or something. With a Femme Fatale holster, you'll know if it slipped. And any ladies out there listening, I promise, mine, I had it custom made for a full size 1911 and 45 caliber, and it doesn't slip. It doesn't weigh it down. It's the most comfortable holster I have. And for moms out there, it's great because you can still get down on the floor and play with your kids. You can just get up and go. And to me, having two small ones under the age of 4, it's what you really want. My kids can't sit there and grab on it, and they can't get to the gun, which is super important for me. And it's not restricting in any way, so I get to play with my kids. And sorry, I got a dog barking. But that's pretty much for me what helps. And femme fatale holsters may not be for everybody, but they do definitely make a difference when you're dealing with kids or even a more active lifestyle.
Sure, let me ask you this. If you had one thing to give to a new female carrier out there, what's the one thing that they shouldn't do that you've had in your experience?
Don't lose confidence in your.
That's a good one.
If you think that you can handle it, go rent the gun and try it out. Don't think that your smaller frame or, wow, that just seems like a bigger gun, I'm probably not going to like that. Because that's what I did for the longest time. And then I shot the 1911 and 45 caliber, and I love it. And it kind of made me mad because I wasted so much time thinking that I couldn't shoot it and I wouldn't like it.
Because someone, yeah, 45. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So don't lose confidence in yourself, and know that if you think you like it, go try it.
Now that's a great point that Matt out there with Never Enough Ammo brought it up. He said, "Don't purse carry. It's the easiest way to have your gun taken from you in a bad scenario." And obviously, I never would have thought about that. But what are your thoughts on purse carrying? Obviously, I mean, in certain scenarios, in certain situations, it's always a good thing, but maybe he's right. Maybe, and if you're in a large crowd and you're worried about getting your purse snagged, maybe that isn't. What are your thoughts on that? Oh.
Sorry, I was muted. For me, if there's a person out there that is not comfortable on body carrying, I say carry in a purse, messenger bag, diaper bag, whatever you got, because it's better to carry what you're comfortable with than what someone else says. I've carried in a purse. I've carried in a diaper bag. I've carried in a tablet case. There's really nothing out there that I haven't tried carrying in at this point. And no one knows that my purse has a gun in it. No one knows that my tablet case had a gun in it. No one knows that my diaper bag has a gun in it because...
They do now.
Well, yeah, now they do. You're welcome, Tardot. But when I was carrying in those, they didn't know that that's what I was using them for. And honestly, when you have kids, I don't want to have a concealed carry purse and a diaper bag and all the other stuff that I need for my kids. I can just throw it in one bag and we're good to go.
Good idea. G, do you have some words of wisdom for do's and don'ts for someone that might be getting into the carry game? One of each, if you've got one of each, good or bad, do's or don'ts.
Well, I'm no expert, but as far as most of the photographic evidence I've seen, anytime a gal wants to carry a handgun, you just stick it in a garter belt. Seems pretty easy. So
that's what they do in the Westerns. That's right.
So as far as the advice, I'm going to go with kind of what I said before, that I think people put a lot of thought into it, and it's sort of like when you're riding a bike for the first time and you think you're going to need training wheels and elbow pads and a helmet because all you can think of is the worst. And then once you do it for a minute, you realize you don't need that stuff. And after pretty quickly you figure out you can't even remember why you had such concerns or such apprehension. So I think it's echoing the thoughts of other people too, just to do it and experience it. And once you've experienced it a bit, you'll see that a lot of your fears aren't even reality, and you'll come up with more questions specific. Okay, you started carrying, and should I go to a pocket? Now it's going to be less. You're just going to get more specific questions after you carry a bit. So I say just go into it and do it, and don't be concerned at all about other people. Like everyone said, nobody's looking, nobody cares.
Ack, you got some words of wisdom for the new carrier?
Sorry. Words of wisdom for the new carrier. If you're going to go appendix, you're going to need new pants.
Make sure you wear the brown
I would
pants.
say almost inside the waist, though, possibly,
Yeah. That and learn. The other thing I would say is, because it's been thrown around here a couple times, learn what your state printing laws are. I was surprised to find out that literally in Florida, you could be in a grocery store, and if I know you and I know you have a concealed carry permit, I can literally take my gun out of my waistband and hand it to you in the grocery store as long as you immediately put it in yours. Didn't
Interesting.
Know that. Yeah, there's a couple weird laws like that I learned about along the way. But even printing here, the worst they can do is inform you, and if someone complains or the place doesn't allow carry in there, then they can ask you to leave. But that's it. It's not like it's a law that you're going to go to jail if some guy notices that you got
misdemeanors or anything like that. Yeah,
nah.
we're the same one here. Yeah. Mike, what do you have from a training standpoint? If someone who gives concealed carry classes, what are some of the things that you maybe tell some of your students?
All right, you ready for this? Because I got a list for you.
Let's do this. Let's do this.
All right. So number one, if you're going to conceal
David Letterman top 10 list, folks.
Yeah. So number one, you have to understand the law if you're going to conceal carry. So that's concerning your area, what you're supposed to do, what you can't do. And then we're going to even take that into number two, which is reciprocity. All right. So wherever you're going, you got to understand the law there, because the laws might be a little different from where you are to where you're going. All right. Number three is you have to go to the range. You have to train. You have to train. All right. Number four is go to a range where you're allowed to rent guns and see what type of firearm you actually like compared to a full size 1911 compact, subcompact, whatever it is. Go rent it and try them out. All right. Number five is go ahead, dive into the whole concealed carry after you go get the class and you have the proper permits to carry. All right. Dive into it. Your first concealed carry holster might not be the best fit, but you don't know right from wrong. And it's going to be a venture that before you know it, 6 months, you're going to have 20 concealed carry holsters in a box somewhere in a closet.
That's why we all have multiple drawers of holsters.
Exactly. All right. Number six is your gear selection. All right. So don't be like a couple of my friends that are always taking a cheap approach to getting gear. Okay. Like I always tell everybody. Yeah. I tell everybody the same thing. Right. If you're going to conceal carry, go ahead and get a reputable Kydex holster. Start off there. Don't do anything else with cloth, because leather and cloth stretch. Okay. So go ahead and get a good Kydex holster. All right. Which will lead into your belts. All right. So we was talking about belts a little bit earlier. Just make sure you go ahead and get a good sturdy, rigid belt that doesn't bend, doesn't stretch or anything. And there's a couple of them out there. What is it, like Blue Gear, Core Essentials?
Out there that are really,
yes, it's a lot of them out there. Then of course,
and they don't have to be tactical. They don't have to be riggers belts. They can be anything that's going to be sturdy and hold the weight.
Exactly. Like the belt I wear is Core Essentials, and that's more of a dress belt. But if you step on it, you're likely to go to the hospital for rolling your ankle. That's how sturdy it is. All right. And then, of course, number 7 is make sure you dress accordingly. All right. So we talked about printing. So be careful with the whole printing, because if I want the element of surprise, if I'm printing, I lost that element of surprise. All right. But, of course, if I'm wearing a suit, I'm not going to carry inside the waistband if I'm wearing a suit, because, of course, I'm going to use the jacket as my concealed cover garment, to carry outside the waistband. All right. Also, make sure if you conceal carry, I'm big on carrying an extra magazine on your person, but consider carrying extra magazines in your vehicle, placing extra magazines around your house just in case. So to me, that's very important. Number 9, gun in a car. We talked about this earlier in the chat. What I do is I keep my gun on my waist when I'm driving, right? But if I'm wearing shorts or whatever, Then, of course, I'm gonna put the gun someplace else in the car, like another holder. But overall, if I'm driving and I got my gun inside my holster, it doesn't come outside of my holster because I'm already geared to go for that holster in that event. And then number 10 is
real question on number 9. Quick question on number 9. Sorry.
Okay, go for it. Go for it.
So how do you access that gun when you have a seatbelt on?
Well, I take the seatbelt and I put it behind the gun and the magazine. So it's just I take my shirt, open up my shirt. So it's sitting there, it's open.
Understood.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Okay.
no problem.
So you have figured out a method to be safe and comfortable at the same time.
Correct. That's pretty much what it comes down to.
Okay.
All right. And then number 10 is make sure you go get good quality ammo. Okay. You can't express this enough. Okay. So if you're going to conceal carry, understand there's a difference between practice ammo and carry ammo. All right. Don't be that person that carries practice ammo around every day, because when you start shooting, you're not going to do what you think you're going to do. All right. But at the same time, look at the reputable companies. Okay. Don't be cheap. Come off the dollar and get good quality ammo. And that's my top 10.
And if you can't really honestly afford it, then Christmases, birthdays, anniversaries, ask family members, hey, if you're really looking for something, go buy me some defensive ammo. And you know, that's don't be afraid to ask for it also, you know.
Yeah. So what is you get like about 24 in a box that costs about 25, 26 bucks.
Yeah, it's about that. I mean, you know, my carry ammo is a Hornady Critical Defense, and it's about $25. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but like I said, make sure
you got a dollar.
Yeah. So, like for instance, what I do is my practice ammo is always 115 grain, but my defensive ammo is 124 grain. But don't get it twisted, because you can't get practice ammo in 124 grain as well. So you have to understand the difference between the two different ammos.
Yep. No, that's a great list. For me, I would honestly sit there and say the best piece of advice that I could give somebody, and I said this before on other people's podcasts and all that, that typically, now, and some people you can literally go down to your sheriff's office or somewhere, take your class, and then they'll issue that right there. Here in Arkansas, it takes a couple months, sometimes up to 3 months. In South Carolina, where Mike is, we know there's a crazy amount of time sometimes to get your license. Night Strike and Ellis have found that out. Some of you guys have constitutional carry, but I would say this: no matter if you can get a license issued on the spot or it takes a couple months, I would sit there and say, before you go and carry out in public, I would wait a month or so, maybe even 2 months, and you carry inside the house. Make sure when you come home, as soon as you come home, you're strapping that on your hip. You're getting accustomed to it. You're getting accustomed to how it feels when you sit down or you're in a car. Go to the range, get accustomed to drawing from concealment. Get accustomed to drawing from different types of holsters. Get accustomed to drawing from different positions, whether it's an appendix or 3 o'clock or small the back or wherever. Practice them, because you never know what you're going to like until you practice it. But make sure that you just don't get your license and the first time you carry is out in public for the first time. Make sure you've got at least a month around the house in a safe environment that you can feel more comfortable with the weight, with the feel of sitting down, like I said, in the car, all sorts of different things. That if you're doing this for a month or two before you decide, okay, I'm going out in public, I'm going out there, I'm christening the ship, then chances are you're going to be a lot more positive reaction to it. You're not going to be fidgeting with your gun. You're not going to be touching it, because that is the worst thing that you can do, is when you're out in public, keep touching your gun. Is concealed for a reason. It gives you a tactical advantage. The average person doesn't walk around the grocery store touching their hip every 3 seconds. So if you feel like you've got to continuously touch your hip, you're not ready for public carry. That's just my opinion. You know, what do you guys have to say about practicing before you carry? G, what do you have to say about that? Is it something they should do, or just
valid.
Go for it?
It's valid. I would say touching your hip, though, look around. I mean, you could have a sore hip. You could have your cell phone on, or one of those like cell phone cases on your hip for the first time. You might be touching it. So people just are oblivious to everything. But I hear what you're saying. But did you talk about? Didn't you do a video on the Walmart walk? Who did that video?
That was not me, but I'd like to see that one. I might have to do one eventually.
You know what I'm talking about there?
Yeah. I just don't remember who it was, but I need to do one of those for sure.
So that's a thing. Otherwise, I was gonna, just as you were describing it, maybe take it fishing or just out scouting in the woods or hike or something, because that's a place where a little bit more appropriate, so nobody's gonna care, and you can feel a little more comfortable with your, concealing it instead of maybe whatever.
Prince said that was Yankee who did the walk.
No, somebody, not a giant channel, did a video about just the concept of it. I thought it was you did what it is kind of.
I wish that came with the idea. It's a great idea. I'm gonna have to do one though for sure.
Oh, it's a thing that's been going around the internet. It's like you go in, you do your thing, and I don't know. The idea is that you go in there.
Yeah. Now, what do you guys think about a beginner carrying one in the chamber versus not in the chamber? Is that something that, I guess it's up to individual people's preference? But the reason why I said that is let's see here. Stinker, aka Alan, out there says, if you're new, load a mag, do not chamber around and carry around until the house for a bit. Is that something that it's not a bad idea around the house if you're not going to carry in the chamber, but at least you're walking around with a gun? What do you guys think about that?
It can go both ways with that. Yes and no. But what I would suggest is to go ahead and just carry one in the chamber, magazine loaded all the way. But at the same time, before you touch the firearm, if it's not an emergency, of course, but before you touch the firearm, go over the 4 safety rules before you pull it out the holster. So once you're ingrained it into your mind, you know exactly what to do, and you'll be safe, if you follow those 4 safety rules.
HBO man out there says carrying unchambered is bad everywhere there's a threat, and that is true. Anywhere there's a threat, and let's just hope that for 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, or whatever, if you're at your house, that there's not a threat. But maybe that is a way for someone, at least, and even maybe you don't even keep it loaded at all. Take a magazine completely out of it, nothing in the chamber, but just getting used to carrying a gun inside the house. Before you decide if you want to get your concealed carry license, that might be something, because some people just don't like the feel of having a gun on them. So I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Gunpowder.
Honestly, I think that people should definitely practice in their home. I know when we first got our concealed carry license, we were practicing a lot in the house. Clearing rooms, just carrying on our hips. And if somebody's not comfortable carrying a gun in general, I don't think that they're going to be comfortable enough being out in public trying to carry. So really, any practice you can get inside the safety of your own home is definitely going to give you an advantage.
No doubt.
That's just me.
No, that's a great point. Tack. What do you feel about this?
Man, it's time for me to pump.
You might have an opinion.
Yeah, time for me to pump the first 10 Tack Daddy videos ever made from 6 years ago.
There you go.
6 years ago. The highlight one is actually where I do one where I talk about everybody's looking at me, and then I walk through Walmart with a camera, and I'm like, that guy ain't paying attention. That guy ain't paying attention. No one fucking knows. And yeah, if anyone's really on this topic, that was the first 10 episodes that I did was, hey, I'm Tack Daddy. I'm a new gun owner I'm not a new gunner. I'm a new concealed carry permit holder here in Florida. Here's what I'm going through, including an entire episode on carrying one in the chamber. And the data shows you don't have time to rack your gun.
Right. Yep.
You just
I don't care who everyone thinks they are. That hey, I practice it enough that I'm proficient enough to take the safety off, rack the slide, and get one down. I don't know about that.
Yeah, you could search 21-foot rule, or you can watch that Doug Marcaida versus Instructor Zero video on Funker, and you'll see how fast you can get a gun out.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we're going to start. It's about that time of going off. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, G.
So because of my opinion's different, I get gizzarded. I see how it works on the show. So I'm all about if you want to carry without one in the chamber.
Did I ask? Okay, I'm sorry. I did not mean to gizzard you. My bad.
That's all right. I screamed out. So I'm okay with not carrying one in the chamber because we're talking about the beginner or whatever.
Yeah,
but here's the thing about people that would persecute anybody. I'm trying to just get everybody to get along, right? Give you a little perspective. Not often are we going to ever be in an altercation where we need lethal force, right? I mean, it's less than lightning. Ideally, never, right? We all strive for never. It's ridiculous to think don't go in a bad neighborhood because we don't get to choose anything like that, right? That can be thrust upon us, so we carry in case. But it's even a fraction of a time that we're actually going to get into some situation. I mean, it's never going to be a cowboy Old West draw, right? It's a fraction of a time where we see it coming and we can do something about it. A lot of times we know we're in a fight or a fight for our lives because we wake up with the stars. You know, we're on the ground, we got stars spinning around, and we're just coming out of being blacked out, and who knows what chaos is going on. So, I mean, that's one introduction to a gunfight, realistically. A bunch of yelling and screaming and stuff, maybe something going on with your kids over there and you're rushing to them. So there's so many different ways that a thing could, you know, altercation could come about. I don't think it's right to say the people that carry without one in the chamber seem to think they're superheroes and are going to somehow rack it into position as they're leaping over a wall to, you know, like save a bus full of nuns. But if you see something coming, you can easily rack it. I mean, a lot of times we're going to draw in anticipation of bad things, or to brandish, or to, you know, for whatever reason. What if it's a dog or something? You know, you don't need to necessarily draw quickly on a dog if it's something in the woods or something. So I'm just saying there's lots and lots of reasons people carry, and if it makes it comfortable for them, and even if you're, I don't know, I'm trying to think, like maybe you're horseback riding or something, or motorcycle riding, and you think your gun might come out and knock all around, and even though you got a good gun that you're confident on, you're not also going to be in a gunfight where you need to draw on somebody. So you leave that one unloaded for the motorcycle ride or the horseback ride. I mean, I don't know. There's all kinds of things. Maybe bicycle ride.
Yeah, there's different scenarios. I agree with you 100%. Yeah, for sure.
I got a question.
I'll throw it in there.
I got a question
ahead,
on that. And again, arguing but not arguing. Have you ever taken a training class where the instructor said, "All right, draw, rack your gun, now fire"? Never.
Right.
So what? We're not talking about an actual gunfight. We're talking about carrying a concealed weapon. We all know that 99% of the time, that's just the laborious burden of responsibility that we put on ourselves to be prepared for that horrible situation that we hope never to experience, right? So all I'm saying is the realistic side of it is if that gets somebody else carrying, and we know that that's just a part of their transition to being a full operator status, or just a regular old person with one in the chamber, right on. It gets them past that. We don't want to embarrass them and say, "Oh, you're not ready to, take it on, so don't even bother."
I actually think it's a big enough responsibility that if you're not willing to be ready to shoot your gun, you shouldn't be carrying a gun.
Well, okay. So what about the concept? I hear you. I'm not saying that's valid.
No. We're not arguing. We're talking. This is good.
Yeah. What about the concept of bringing more medical equipment to bear than you're proficient with, so that if someone needs it, they are. So if you're the guy who's not necessarily willing to bring a gun, but you provide a backup gun to the guy that is, that's a thing. And again,
yeah.
All right.
Well, and I'll throw this out there also, and we're talking about, like, once again, we're talking about from being a beginner to being someone that has been carrying for years, whether that's 2 years, 10 years, 25 years, whatever. And I think that there is probably a grace period. And if so, I'll put it to you this way. I'm a believer of carrying one in the chamber. That being said, if it means that someone is willing to carry, but they're not going to carry one in the chamber, I would much rather them have one with them without one in the chamber than not have one at all. If for no other reasons, and I'm not talking tactically here, I'm not talking about in a gunfight scenario, I'm talking the more guns that are out there, the more people that we are proving that we are normal people that carry guns. Now, the fact that anyone's ever going to know that you have one is probably not going to happen. The fact that anyone's going to know that you don't have one chambered, once again, if right now you're not willing or able to feel comfortable carrying one in the chamber, that's on you. Understand that you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. I get that. but maybe hopefully down the road that person does feel comfortable and now becomes one of the people that do carry one.
But think about what we're saying there. Think about what we're saying there, Ghost. We're saying that the less skilled, less experienced person should add an additional step to their preparedness of being ready to actually defend themselves.
I'm not disagreeing. No, I'm not disagreeing. And I said tactically in a gunfight, it makes no sense whatsoever. What I am saying is if someone who is thinking about carrying and they're brand new to it, they might be gun owners forever, but carrying a day-to-day, if that allows them to feel more comfortable carrying, then why should we say no to that? Because eventually maybe they transition to the other side. I see what G's saying, and I don't disagree with that. I personally would rather you carry one in a chamber, but I'm also not going to tell anybody, hey, if you're not going to carry one in a chamber, then don't carry a gun, because I think we're missing out on some people that could eventually become part of the good side. I do hear what G's saying. I agree with what you're saying also. I'm not trying to pick sides here. I'm saying that I believe that you should carry one in the chamber, but I'm not going to sit there and criticize or reprimand someone that doesn't. That's just me.
Because sometimes it could be like, you hear something in the parking lot and you're going to investigate. You got plenty of time to rack, or decide to rack.
Cover, sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah, you would like to think that maybe you would be able to find cover for 2 or 3 seconds. In a normal scenario, you would at least probably have that time. Like you said, it's probably not going to be a Wild West draw in the middle of the road. I hope not.
Well, take the latest shooting. The guys are sitting around playing video games, and all of a sudden, some guy shoots.
Sure.
You want to have to take it out and rack it? You want to return fire?
That's definitely, no one's disputing that.
That's a valid.
It's not. It's dumb, but. If it's just a training wheel.
No, I hear you're saying just like having an extra medical kit. I get that. That makes sense.
Yeah, and I think it's training wheels. That's a perfect way of doing it. It's training wheels. That's a great way of saying it. For me, that's a good way of saying it. Yeah.
But there is a side to it, a negative side to it. A lot of times we're talking about people with 1911s and they don't got enough bullets to begin with.
They only got 6.
Whoa. Well, and they got that safety thing and all that other crap too.
And most people can't rack that 1911 anyway, so I mean, it's just for show.
I'm about to start passing out throat punches to all of y'all, just so y'all know.
Start throat punching through the microphone.
Merry Christmas. Here's
only people that say throat punch and y'all. We know they can handle their 1911s. So.
And we know that they're not originally from Michigan either. So.
All right, I ain't gonna throat punch y'all. Y'all all right.
We're gonna start closing the doors here. We're gonna run through the room real quick. Gunpowder, what you guys got going on? I know you're getting the new house ready to go, but what's going on with your channel and Gun Gals? You want to start plugging away for some of those?
Everybody, don't forget to go check out Gun Gals and our spreadshirt, because everyone should be fabulous while supporting us Gun Gals. Don't forget, we have a really awesome shirt. It's called Range Hair Don't Care. So make sure that you send your wives, daughters, aunts, any female in the gun community, or anyone that you would like to be in the gun community, to our Gun Gals Facebook Ladies Only group. We also have a Facebook page for anyone and everyone. We're on Patreon. We're on GunStreamer. And we have a live stream every Sunday at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you for inviting me. And I am just taking it one day at a time in Michigan and, trying to take over this state, show them what us Texas girls can do.
All right. We'll kick corral out there talking about gunfights. Go check out Gun Gals. Go check out Gunpowder's individual channel. But the Gun Gals are doing some great work, and I do like the series y'all are doing, and y'all been doing it for a while. But people will send in questions, and they'll make a video about Arminthia or Jesse or Liz, or answering questions that people have sent them. So I think that's great, because you're not just doing a live show on Sundays, but you're doing individual kind of getting to know people videos, which I think is great. So go check out Gun Gals. Go check out Gunpowder. Tack, I know that you're busy not only with Funker but with your stuff, and you've got some new stuff coming around the corner here. You want to talk about it for a little bit?
Yeah, I'll be quick. Funker's going to take a back seat for a while, quite honestly. I've got an 80,000 page book that I've been writing this summer, July and August for the most part. It's pretty much done. I'm editing it as we speak. It's a narrative on what happened here in Parkland from my perspective and my background, which is like obviously a little unique compared to a lot of the parents down here. And then it gets into all the missteps, all the missed things that were, again, with the police department, with the Broward County schools, with the FBI, all that stuff. I get into the gun section pretty good. I break it down from start to finish, pro-gun, anti-gun. And I would love to come back on this show, particularly with a full panel and have the discussion on part of one of the chapters where I say, quote, there is no slippery slope. So I'll come back for that one because it's an interesting conversation to be had for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, you get it, Ghost. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
And then from there, I break down solutions and conclusions and a real plan on how I would, again, make a school as secure as possible with two caveats. One, no budget restrictions. And two, the understanding that 4 guys with AK show up in a van, we could do all kinds of shit and nothing's going to stop those guys.
Just stop it. You're
So
right.
if we can have those two in, I think I have a pretty decent plan. And then from there, I'm starting up Aware and Prepared Live next Thursday night. A week from this Thursday, it'll be the official launch. I might do something this Thursday just as kind of a pre-launch. But that's going to go down the road, kind of take me from. It's cool having that concealed carry guy on your show because literally that was my MO for 5 years. Covering the stories, covering the legislation as we saw fit, and kind of shooting the shit. He's got a little more professional take on it all, which is nice. And I'm just hopeful that this new show. Shit, I can read you something real quick. No, I can't. My computer's off. I just hope that it allows me to take the transition from all of my background, with all the experience, with all the training, with everything I've done, be able to open up people's eyes and get them from nothing to something. And then if they want to go to the gun thing, that's fantastic. And we'll talk about EDC and that stuff along the way. But for the most part, it's going to be about your everyday loadout and your basic ability to be aware and prepared.
Awesome. Now, David Bowling says 80,000 pages. What's he supposed to do after lunch? He's not very impressed with 80,000 pages. He said,
I'll expect him to, I'll give him a discount code too. Patreon set up. I'm working on some other things, but I'm trying to figure out. I'll probably end up doing it Amazon. I have one publisher that I'm talking to, but I'm not too sure that I don't want to have control over it. So, but yeah, well, it's 80,000 of the best words you're going to read this year, buddy.
There you go. There you go. Appreciate you coming on, bro.
Thanks,
G, what you got going on? I know you're getting ready to head up to Chicago. You want to talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah, first I want to say thanks to TAC, though. That's cool. That I'm sure you're going to offer a different, like you say, a different perspective than some of the other people who might be capitalizing on that. So that's fucking cool. You didn't have to either, so that's cool.
Thanks. It's been a therapeutic and at the same time brutal experience.
Well, is that why you kind of started that was kind of how you wanted to deal and how you cope with things, is get things on paper? Is that how it kind of started?
It was very, again, I came with an outline first, and after I got the outline done, I was like, this is going to be my therapy. So I literally sat by the pool pretty much every morning all summer long, as long as it wasn't raining, until it got too hot or the laptop overheated. And just I'd bang out, for Mr. Unimpressed, I'd bang out, 1,500 to 2,000 words in a session and go back and edit that and then kind of put another puzzle piece together. I did the gun section first because that was what was on my mind, was the fact that, there's a really interesting, my perspective is interesting. Everyone in this town is anti-gun. The march that happened is literally in my backyard, and we went to the beach instead. So yeah, there are
a lot of people that were claiming that you were anti-gun for a while.
Oh, dude, some of them might think it after they read the book too, but my convictions are pretty strong.
I hear you.
Thanks, G. I appreciate the praise.
Yeah, thanks for you doing that, buddy. Sorry about that, G. Go ahead.
Also, they wanted us to mention Yankees pistol project. So,
absolutely, I love that project. Yes, you want to talk about that?
I don't know enough about it. I just wanted to mention it because I saw somebody saying we should. So yeah, Yankees good.
I'll talk about it after you go ahead. I'll mention that after you talk. Go ahead.
Anyway, I'm heading up to the Gun Rights Policy Conference, which is in Chicago, September 21st, 22nd, 23rd. TAC, you should go. The 21st is a 2A media summit. It'll only be the second year they've done it. They don't know much outside the realm of, what am I trying to say, blogging and writing, like article writers and authors. There was a few radio people there, but not as broad media as we're used to, and definitely not experience with a lot of the web stuff or YouTube, stuff that's been going on or they have potential for. Anyway, so that's kind of neat that they have been getting together for this will be the 33rd year, where the gun owners' rights groups get together. They meet up in a different town each year. They alternate between gun friendly and less friendly. So this year it's in Chicago. All the gun owners' rights groups will take the stage and give us a sit rep, what they've been up to, what they see in the future, what they might need or what they might be able to offer. And then there's Q&A, and the next group will take the stage. Sometimes it's an organization or a group of organizations. Sometimes it's like the doctors or other segments of the community. But it's the actual people that created most of these gun owners' rights groups, the people that are the presidents and operating people that run it, as well as the people that fund them and are their top supporters. So it's just an awesome environment to be in that room, and it's going to be for 3 days. Like I say, the first day is a 2A media summit, which is only in its second year. But anybody who's creating content, I suspect you got people that watch this that create content. If you're looking to collaborate, network, and coordinate with others, it's an excellent opportunity that isn't in an event like SHOT Show or something else where it's industry related and people might be there for multiple reasons. You're there for Second Amendment, networking, coordination, and getting our messages on point. We got the midterms coming up. Obviously, it's going to be divisional. We see that they're going to try to take every opportunity to divert us or to lead us down their agenda, points. But this is a time when we can come together, and they have been for 33 years. Let's take advantage of it. I'm getting up there thanks to my Patreons. I don't have any sponsored support or anything. So I appreciate the people that made that possible. There's people that are buying things on our auctions and at the store. And all that goes to putting gas in the tank and getting us on the road. We'll come back through the museums in Cody, Wyoming, Salt Lake City, and a little bit to California and back over here for the big machine gun shoot. And then we'll start getting ready to go to Tulsa. But yeah, we're going to be on the road. And again, it's in Chicago. Chicago. Out there, it's free. You get fed. You get all kinds of books. 3 days of 2A fun and excitement. It's not really fun and excitement. It's kind of boring. It's like a seminar, but you can't believe the feeling it's like being in a room with the people that created all these organizations. It's awesome.
I can imagine. And last year I really enjoyed. You actually kind of went live and did an 8-hour live on your channel of the different speakers, and they had the guy from Detroit. They had some women. They had all sorts of different speakers. So I don't know if you're going to plan on doing that again. But if you are, then guys, if you can't make it and you're able to go find a live stream, whether it's on or wherever,
it's called the Polite Society Podcast. Is the official podcast streamer.
Okay.
I just turned my cameras on also, but the Polite Society Podcast has a board set up and actual cameras, and they're
okay, cool. Okay, I just was watching yours. I didn't know they had an actual official one.
I was just being in the back being a wise aleck, but yeah, that was.
Yeah, but it's definitely, if you can't make it to Chicago, there will be ways to at least participate or at least see and hear what's going on. So
let me just put this out there. If you can't make it to Chicago or wherever the next gun rights policy conference will be, I hope you feel bad when you're at the next sports thing or some event that you could travel to that was discretionary.
That's right. Make them feel guilty. Absolutely. Mike, what you got going on? I know you're busy trying to get some money raised for some jiu-jitsu, but what else you got going on?
All right. So first of all, you can find me weekly on the Black Man with the Gun podcast, where you can find me giving the tips and review segment, also having a conversation with Ken Blanchard about topics around the 2A community. So if you want to, go download the app. If not, go to your favorite app source and listen to the podcast. All right. If you want to contact me, you can at 803-250-1256. Leave a message or a text message, and I promise I will get back to you. For those who are willing to contribute to the campaign that Ghost was just talking about, please go to gofundme.com/M-W Tactical. And then, of course, if if you haven't done so, go to Facebook and Instagram and follow me on M-W Tactical. Also, for the weekly videos that we put out, we just put a video out yesterday. So if you go to GunStreamer, you can find me under Munitions Weapons Tactical, and GunTube, UGEtube, and YouTube, you can find me under M-W Tactical. So if anything, just go to those different platforms that I just mentioned. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, like, dislike, show some support some type of way.
As Tack used to say, make sure you unsubscribe and hit those thumbs down. So I want to get a quick shout out to Rick Nethery real quick. He sent a $2 super chat to the Super 5 Fund. Just keep up the good work. Love you, Ghost Tactical. Love you too, Rick. I love all my supporters and viewers out there. And on that note, guys, we are going to go ahead and get out. We have Quirked Night Strike as long as we can. I tried to do it the whole show, but I couldn't do it. Go check out Hit or Miss. If you can't check them out right now, please go check them out and replay. The YouTube channel is Night Strike 1. The GunChannels is Hit or Miss. Go check out Night Strike and Travis P11 and Squib and Smeggy and all those guys. They always have a really good show. I apologize for once again stepping on all your toes, but go watch them in replay if you can't catch them live. It's a wonderful show. Check out all these guys over on GunChannels. Check out the weekly schedule on GunChannels.com. Kind of gives you all the show lineup for the rest of the week. So thank you to G for almost 5 years, man. Almost 5 years. Is that correct? Was it November, or when is the 5-year anniversary?
All I did is throw some code up on the web one November, and all y'all made it GunChannels.
Well, we thank you for throwing that code up there, and it's a wonderful place, and people come and go, but everyone kind of seems to come back as well. So I think all of us can sit there and say, I can say personally, I don't spend as much time over there during the day as I'd like to. I no excuses. I do work, but I'm looking forward to maybe this fall and winter when it slows down to be back on some of the lobby chats. And just like I said, go support everything that G does. He's a great ambassador for the Second Amendment. What were you saying, G?
You just quit your job, and you can spend a lot more time on GunChannels.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think the wife would enjoy that, but I hear what you're saying. But no, thanks to all the one that was on panel. I want to thank Riley again from concealedcarry.com. Go check out concealedcarry.com and the podcast on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's a great podcast. Thanks to Clover Tech. He had a bail earlier. And thanks to Mike and G and Tack and Gunpowder. Appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And guys, we will see you next week on episode 56 of Tactical Tuesday. Till next time, Semper Fi.